these are the questions that you were given yesterday. I'm going to do out all the solutions. So I'll do the first few a little bit slowly, and then I'll probably start going a little bit faster through the rest of them. But you can always send me an email and ask me to do one out much slower if you're finding it difficult. So start with question 5, part 1. And that one says 7i bracket 3 plus 5i. And they want me to multiply that out. So 7i times a 3 is 21i. And 7i times a 5i, well, 7 by 5 is 35. I by I is I squared. It will be written, I think, at the top of the question. I is the square root of minus 1. And from there, you can tell that I squared is just minus 1. And I would way prefer to replace an I squared anytime I see it with the number minus 1. That's 21i plus 35 times minus 1. And that gives me 21i minus 35. You could also write it the other way around, just like you can have 2 plus 3 is the same as 3 plus 2, or 7 minus 5 is the same as a minus 5 plus a 7. Okay, the sign has to go with it. Remember, you can't just change something. So it's a minus 5 and you're up 7, so minus 5 plus a 7. You could also, that's the correct answer, but just in case you saw it written differently, that's minus 35 plus 21i. Both are fully correct, just written in a slightly different order. Part 2. It says I times 3 minus I. That gives me 3i, and that gives me a minus I squared. Again, I'd much rather write I squared as a minus 1. So there's my 3i, there's my minus, and my I squared, I'm replacing it with a minus 1. So what happens when you have a minus by a minus? You get a plus. Okay, and just if you wanted to, that could be written the other way around. It's plus 1 plus a 3i. Both of those are the exact same thing. Part 3 is 2 bracket 7 plus I. 2 times 7, 14. 2 times I, 2i. And you could see that the other way around as well, a 2i plus 14. Normally we have the number first and then the imaginary part. 3 bracket 1 plus 5i. 3 plus 15i. 7 bracket 2 minus I. That gives me 14 minus 7i. You could see that the other way around, a minus 7i plus a 14, but you're most likely to see it in this format. The real number first and then the imaginary second. But it doesn't matter. And then minus 2 bracket 4 plus I. That gives me, and you know, I might be flying through this, but you're following your BIMDAS rules. Can I add what's in the brackets? No. Can I do any indices? No. Is there any multiplication? Yes. So that's where I start. Is there any addition or subtraction? Well, yeah, there's subtraction, but I can't subtract different things in maths. So I'm done. That was question 5. Question 6. We're looking at 2 plus 7i bracket 3 minus 5i. Now again, I don't know what way you would have done this at junior cert. There's loads of ways. You could just go 2 by 3, 6. 2 by a minus 5i is a minus 10i. 7i by a 3 is a 21i. And plus 7i by a minus 5i, well, plus by minus, minus 7 by 5, 35, I by I squared. Now I'm not finished, I'm going to clean this up. I've just done my multiplication first. I'm going to clean this up, but I just want to show you, maybe I did it a different way. Some people might have done this thing where you do a smiley face. So you have the 2 by the 3, which is 6. You have a 7i by a minus 5i, which is a minus 35i squared. You will have a 7i by a 3, which is 21i. And you will have a 2 by a minus 5i, which is minus 10i. And you can kind of see your smiley face there. I don't, well, I can't tell if you can really see the smiley face. It gives you the same answer. There's your 6, there's your 6, there's your minus 10i, there's your minus 10i. Okay, it's in different order, but it's the exact same thing. Another way you might have seen it is, some of you might have liked to split up that first bracket. So you'd have 2 by 3 minus 5i. So I'm splitting up the first bracket, and then plus 7i 3 minus 5i. So the 2 by the 3, 6, 2 by that, minus 10i. 7i by that is plus 21i, and 7 by that is a minus 35i squared. Again, you can see we're getting all the same bits in a different order. It's going to clean up to be the exact same thing. So whichever one method, now I'm sure there's more methods, but whichever one of these methods you're most comfortable with, pick that method and just go with it. Now we're just going to clean it up. So you're down 10 of something, so let's say you owe me €10 and you have 20, you're up €21 in your pocket. That means you'll give me the 10 and you'll still be up €11. So that's that bit there that I could clean up. 6, and minus 35 I squared. Well, I'd much rather write an I squared as a minus 1. What happens when you multiply minus 35 by minus 1? You get plus 35. And then, there's that. Done. Part 2 is 1 plus 4i by 2 plus 5i. That gives me 2 plus 5i plus 8i plus 20i squared. That's 2 plus 13i plus 20 times minus 1. So that and that give me that, and I would much rather write an I squared as a minus 1. So that's 2 plus 13i. What is 20 times minus 1? Again, just throw into your calculator if you want. You end up with that. I'm going to clean this up. I'm up €2, but I owe someone 20. So, or throw it into your calculator, minus 18 plus 13i. At 3, we have 6 plus I, bracket, minus 2 plus 3i, minus 12, plus 18i, minus 2i, plus 3i squared. This part here, I'm gonna write as 16i because I can clean it up, plus 3 times I squared. Well, I'd rather write I squared as a minus 1. So that gives me a minus 12 plus 16i, and then the 3 times the minus 1 is a minus 3. And again, you can use your calculator or just go, right, I owe someone €12 and then I owe them another 3, I owe them 15 plus 16i. Part 4, 2 plus 3i and 2 minus 3i. That gives me 4 minus 6i plus 6i minus 9i squared. You can slow the video down if you want, just pause it. If you want to do each line bit by bit, then check it. If If you're down 6 and you up 6, oh, they cancel each other off. They're opposites of each other. And I'm left at 4 minus 9i squared. I would much rather write an I squared as a minus 1. And again, what happens here when you multiply minus 9 by minus 1, you end up with 4 plus 9, which is just 13. You can always write 13 plus 0i, but I'm too lazy to do that. I just have the number 13. Part 5, 3 plus 4i, bracket 3 minus 4i. That gives me 9 minus 12i plus 12i minus 16i squared. They're opposites, they'll cancel. Oh, that happened again. Look. When you have 2 plus 3i multiplied by 2 minus 3i, or 3 plus 4i by 3 minus 4i, that little part seems to cross off every time. That's interesting. Well, maybe I should use the word interesting loosely. I have 16 and minus 16i squared. I would much rather write an I squared as a minus 1. That's a way more familiar number to me. If you have 9 and then you have minus 16 times a minus 1, that's a plus 16, which gives me 25. You could write it's 25 plus 0i. I'm just too lazy. 1 plus I, bracket 7 minus 3i. That's 7 minus 3i plus 7i minus 3i squared. That part there I can work with. That gives me a 4i minus 3i squared. I would much rather write an I squared as a minus 1. And minus 3 times minus 1. Throw it into the calculator, you get plus 3. And then adding those, you get 10 plus 4i. You could also see it as 4i plus 10. Doesn't matter, it's the same thing. That was... So next one, part 7. 1 minus I by 1 plus I. Oh, I wonder will the bit cross off in the middle again now that I have, 2 plus 3i, 2 minus 3i, 3 plus 4i, 3 minus 4i, 1 minus I, 1 plus I. I wonder will they cross off. So that's 1 by 1, 1. 1i minus 1i. Yeah, look, did it again. And a minus I squared. So they're opposite each other, they're gone. 1 minus, anywhere I see an I squared, I'd rather change it to a minus 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2. Actually, that's 2 plus 0i if you want. And minus 2 minus 2i. And minus 2 plus 2i. I wonder again, will that bit in the middle cross off eventually? Because these are opposites of each other again. That was a plus, now it's a minus, the second one here. That's 4 minus 4i plus 4i, yeah, and minus 4i squared. So that's 4 minus 4i squared. I'd rather change an I squared to a minus 1. Don't even know really exactly what is an I squared. I just know that an I is a square root of minus 1, so an I squared is minus 1. So that's 4 minus 1 by minus 4 is 4. That gives me 8. Could also write it as 8 plus 0i. Question 9, 7 plus 5i and 2 plus I. That gives me 14 plus 7i plus 10i plus 5i squared. That's 14 plus 17i plus 5i squared. I'm going to change my I squared to a minus 1. That gives me 14 plus 17i, minus 5. That gives me 9 plus 17i. And the very last one, 3 minus 2i by 7. If you don't like it in this order, you can switch it around. It doesn't really matter. You just have the 3 by the 7i gives me 21i. And 2 minus 2 by the 7i gives me a minus 14i squared. That's 21i minus 14 times minus 1. And you can either see it like that, or or you might see it as 14 plus 21i. Why can you just switch these around? Think about it. If you have 9 times 3, is that the same as 3 times 9? Yeah, it is. So if you don't like your 2 brackets in this order, write them in another order. And then multiply out. We're going to get the exact same answer here, because I'm allowed to do this. And you can either leave it like that, or you can have it as 14 plus 21i.